Hey, what's going on, guys? Here's another video for you. This is my Moonfog Records collection. Moonfog Records was a small label that started from Norway by Satir from Satyricon, I think in about 1993. And then I think it closed in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. Now, they only had like probably a dozen bands on their roster. It was for, I think it was strictly like Norwegian black metal bands. So yeah, not a whole lot of releases, but a lot of the releases Satir put out through that label are like some of the best Norwegian black metal out there. So I guess we'll start in alphabetical order. Dark Throne was a big one for a time on Moonfog Records. The first one they put out by them was Panzerfaust, which is one of their best albums. I think the only thing I'm not crazy about on here is I'm not super crazy about the vocals. I feel like they kind of belong more in the latter portion of their discography with like the crust punk, heavy metal kind of attitude. It is a little bit more of a black metal tinge to the vocals, but they do remind me a lot of their like later shit like Cult is Alive and stuff like that. But yeah, the music on here is amazing. I love Hans Siste Winter. That riff in that song is so fucking good. The rest of the album is great as well. It's definitely, everyone talks about like the big three, Blazing Northern Sky, Under a Funeral Moon, Transylvanian Hunger, but they should rename it to the big four because this is definitely among those albums as far as how great it is. Really good stuff. And then they also released after that Total Death, which I owned this album for a while, and I never really gave it its due listen. I think it's just because like I got it used on a whim, and I kind of like forgot about it. But I listened to it the other week, and I actually really like this album a lot. I know most people are kind of like lukewarm about it, but first of all, the vocals, in my opinion, are better on this than on Panzerfaust. That might be a hot take, but they really are. It's just like straight up black metal, but with an awesome lo-fi effect on it. Now, the songs on here, are the riffs as good as the past four records by Dark Throne? No, but they're still good. And it's a short listen. It's only like 35 minutes or so. I really like this album. I think it's really underrated. Yeah, I think it's a great album. And yeah, definitely one of their best, considering like with Dark Throne, I really don't care about anything after like Sardonic Wrath. So after this, they put out Ravishing Grimness, or the record label put out Ravishing Grimness, Plague Wielder, which I'm not like crazy about those two. Like they kind of passed by, like whatever. Hate Them was pretty cool. I remember listening to that back in the day and liking it. It's very hateful. And Sardonic Wrath was really good as well. And then they went to The Cult is Alive, Dark Thrones of Black Flags, Circle the Wagons. I liked those albums back in the day. I feel like they don't really hold up at this point, though. They're kind of like, no one really needs them. But regardless, whatever. We're talking about the Moonfog records that were put out. So they put out everything from Panzerfaust to Sardonic Wrath. And it's a pretty good run, with the exception of Plague Wielder and, was it Ravishing Grimness? Those ones are like, but yeah, pretty good run. Okay, so after Dark Throne, we have here Isengard with their only full-length, or I guess it's one of two full-lengths, I guess, technically. This is easily the best work from this band. For those of you who don't know, this is Fenriz from Dark Throne's side project. It's like kind of Bathory influence, folk, black metal, but very raw. The vocals remind me a lot of like Urfaust. That's like the only thing I can really compare it to. Very, what's the word? I guess archaic, which lends to this album's charm. Yeah, this is a phenomenal album. I like this better than a lot of Dark Throne. I'll just put it that way. I don't know if I like this better than like Transylvanian Hunger or Under a Funeral Moon, but this is definitely like one of Fenriz's best works ever. Every song in here is amazing. Nestlepox, Med Cavete Christ, the fourth song, however the hell you pronounce that. I love the ambient, like a atmospheric element of it. Number 5 is awesome too. Over D, I don't know, whatever. Number 5, great doomy track. Thornspawn Chalice is just straight up black metal, as well as Total Death. Very, very fucking good album. If you haven't heard Isengard for whatever reason, check this album out. Check all their stuff out. The album they released, I think it was like maybe 2 years ago, which was just essentially a compilation of like unreleased tracks. It's considered, I guess, his second full length in that moniker. I liked it. It's not amazing, but it's very old school. A lot of like heavy metal elements to it. Yeah, it's okay. But okay, so then after that, I guess I'll just talk about these all together because I have so many of them. We're gonna, obviously Satir put out his own records. So they released Forest Is My Throne and Yggdrasil, the demo from Enslaved. So this is a split demo compilation from Satyricon and Enslaved. And this is the original Moonfog pressing. I know they re-released this a bunch of times, or a couple of times at least. Great stuff. I love the demo from Satyricon, specifically Night of the Triumphator. It's a perfect homage to like early black metal, like Celtic Frost and shit like that. Forest Is My Throne is great. And then the Enslaved side is really cool too. I love early Enslaved. I'm not crazy about newer Enslaved, but yeah, it's really good, raw Viking black metal. I love it. Yeah, this is a great release. And then after that, they continued putting their albums out on Moonfog, obviously. So this is actually a Moonfog pressing of their debut CD, Dark Medieval Times. I found this used at FYE like years and years ago. And it's very, very... You can see on the CD there, like, Fog 001. I guess maybe this was the first release they put out. Yeah, you could tell how old it is. Everything's, like, very... weathered, to say the least. Yeah, excellent album. For those of you who don't know, this is raw, medieval-sounding black metal. This is back when they had something going. I don't really like their black and roll shit too much. They had a string of albums where I was just like... I mean, you know, I get it. Every musician needs to evolve, but it's just not my thing. I never got into Venom. I never really got into Motorhead, so it's not really... The same thing with Dark Throne. It's not my wheelhouse. And then after that, they put out... Oh, what is this? Shadow Throne? I think this is the Moonfog version. Yeah, it does say that. It doesn't have the official Moonfog logo, but this is their second album. More medieval black metal, less raw. Probably my least favorite out of their first 3, but very good album nonetheless. Yeah, I got this years ago. I know they've reissued it a bunch of times, but yeah, very good album. I feel like the production is a bit thin at times, which is probably my main complaint, but very good album. So then after that, they released their magnum opus, in my opinion, Nemesis Divina. This is actually the Moonfog version. I know they've repressed this a bunch, or whatever, reduplicated this under various labels a bunch of times. Yeah, this is like pretty much a perfect album. This is like one of the best black metal albums ever made, period. And obviously one of the best Norwegian black metal albums made, period. Yeah, what can I say? Just ferocious, apocalyptic, atmospheric black metal. Can't go wrong. And so then they released Now Diabolical. This actually isn't the Moonfog pressing. This got re-released by Nuclear Blast. I don't know why I keep saying press. I keep saying pressing like it's a vinyl. It's just terminology that comes to mind, so don't mind me, but whatever. This is the Nuclear Blast edition. And this one comes with the Intermezzo EP, which I actually have a physical format of as well. This is a great album. It took me a while to get into this album but because it's so much different from their past 3 albums. But once you like sink your teeth in it, it's really, really good. The songs are like ferocious as shit at times, but it's also very catchy. It's right before they get into their black and roll stage, which again, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of, but good album. So then after that, or actually, I forgot to mention, I have the Intermezzo EP on physical format, but this is also a Nuclear Blast release. This was originally a Moonfog release. I got this, funny story about this. My friend convinced me to go to a Job for a Cowboy show in Philly because it was 75 cents. And it was still, I'll say it was still not worth it. But they did have a vendor there, and I ended up finding this, and I had to get it because I love Blessed from Below, the INRI cover, and then A Moment of Clarity is on Rebel Extravaganza. It's a pretty good song. I don't like the Nemesis Divina clean vision mix. I think that's pretty unnecessary, but Blessed from Below alone is an excellent song. So then, like I was saying, after Rebel Extravaganza, they released this compilation, which I got this in Philly back when Relapse Record Store was still a thing. This is just a compilation of all their past 4 albums. But it's pretty cool. It's got some cool packaging. It has a cool little promotional booklet thing for Volcano, which is the album after Rebel Extravaganza. And it comes with a really cool, pretty thick booklet of like rare pictures from the band. There's like promo pictures that were never released. Let's see if there's any like cool ones. This is definitely Dark Medieval Times era. This is a good one of Frost. It's fucking awesome. What else? There's a classic black metal picture right there. They have this like Resident Evil looking chick with all their releases. Nemesis Divina outtake, pretty cool. And then whatever the fuck he's doing here. Yeah, it's a cool release. Do I really need it? Not really, because I already have the first 4 albums, so it's like I don't really need it. There is one bonus track on here called Serpent's Rise, which is kind of like a pretty passerby song. Again, do I really need this, being that I own the first 4? No, not really. I guess it's kind of cool from a novelty perspective, but it's whatever. And then the last album they released on Moonfog under Satyricon was actually Volcano. I don't know if many people know this, but they also worked with another album. I think it's called like iMusic, Red Ink. Yeah, Red Ink. I don't know. So this is not the Moonfog version, but I got it re-released by Red Ink. This is the first album that brought them on the path of like black and roll. I like it. There's still some good tracks in here. Angstridden's really good. Repine Bastard Nation, Mental Mercury, Possessed is cool. It's a pretty solid album. And then after this, they fall off for a while. I did like Deep Calleth Upon Deep. I thought that was a really good album, but like Now Diabolical and The Age of Nero are like, not a fan. Especially the self-titled. Not a fan. So another release that was put out via Moonfog Records is this little hidden gem, Storm, with their album Nordavind. Now this is a supergroup between Fenriz, Fenriz, Satyr, and I can't remember her name. I think it's Carrie or something. This was originally put out on Moonfog, like I said. Carrie Ruslaton. This is an excellent album, and honestly, I think this album captures the true spirit of Norway like perfectly. I mean, because it's folky. You feel like you're like in the mythology of Norway, like immediately as the first song hits. I'm pretty sure it's Fenriz on vocals and drums, and then Satyr does guitar, and then Carrie does like the female vocals. excellent, excellent hidden gem. It's not on Spotify. It's not on any of those streaming services. You got to kind of search for it. It's on YouTube, obviously. This is not the Moonfog edition, but, you know, I had to have it, so whatever. This is by Demise Recordings. I don't even know what the fuck that is. I think I got this off Hell's Headbangers like years ago. Excellent, excellent album. This is a hidden gem. And what's cool about Moonfog Records is they put out a compilation. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it had rare tracks from Dark Throne, Satyricon, Isengard, Storm, I think maybe like Dot Heimsgard. I'd love to, I think it was called Crusades in the North. I'd love to get my hands on that compilation. But yeah, this is an awesome, awesome album. Love this shit. And so the last release I have from Moonfog is actually Satyr's ambient project called Wangraven. Excellent cover. I got this years and years ago from a record shop nearby, believe it or not. Really cool back cover too. I love this album. This is like some of the best ambient, acoustic, folk kind of music. It's similar to like, you know, early Mortiz and stuff like that, but this is like in a league of its own, in my opinion. This is a whole journey. It's only about like 32, 33 minutes. Also, Isan is on here. He plays keyboards on the second track, which is really cool. Yeah. I don't think they ever repressed this off of Moonfog. I keep saying repressed, whatever. I don't think they redid this on another record label other than Moonfog, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm really happy to own this. This is an excellent album. So yeah, that's about it. Other than that, well, who else did they put out? They put out this band called Discipline, which I'd never even heard of. I was looking at their roster earlier. They put out Dot Heimsgard, like Outcast Supervillain, and what is it, Satanic something. I'm not even really a big fan of those albums, so I never picked those up. I love the old Dot Heimsgard, but when they start getting like really wacky and all that shit, I kind of checked out. Who else did they put out? They put out 2 or 3 Gehenna albums, which I'm not a huge fan of. Frost plays on that one album, World War, which is kind of cool, but other than that, I'm not crazy about them. And then they put out that band Khold, which I never really got into. That's Khold. I'm sure they have some good stuff here and there, but I just never really... Same with like that band Vreed, that post-Windeer band. I just never got into it. And then other than that, Thorns is the other big one that I really, really need to get my hands on because I love that debut album. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but that's a great album. It has Satyr on vocals and Hellhammer on drums. Really, really good album. And then they put out a split with Thorns and Emperor, which was cool. Other than that, I think that's pretty much about it. Oh yeah, Fenriz's side project, Neptune Towers, they put out 2 releases from that. I actually never really heard anything by that. It kind of, I don't know, never really drew me in, but maybe I'll have to check it out. But yeah, anyway, that's my Moonfog Records collection. Very short-lived record label, but a lot of really good releases. Satyr definitely knew what he was doing back then. I mean, he still does to an extent. You can tell he's still, or at least Frost is definitely still a music fan. So, yeah, that's about it. That's my Moonfog collection. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one.